Addies gamers, this is Game Sergeant Scurry, and after starting my Fire Emblem Let's Play series, people have been asking me what exactly it is I am doing in this game. Fire Emblem isn't a very well-known series, and as a result, some people who watch me play the game may not understand the basic mechanics of the game. This video is made up to help you understand the game before I get too deeply in the story. So, here we go. The Fire Emblem series is a tactical role-playing game, or RPG franchise, developed by Intelligent Systems and published by Nintendo in 1990. First produced and published for the original Nintendo Entertainment System, originally only in Japan, the series currently consists of 15 games, including remakes, across multiple game systems, including the Super Nintendo, the Game Boy Advance, which was the first one to come to the United States, the GameCube, the Nintendo DS, the Wii, and the Nintendo 3DS. There are currently two more titles awaiting release. One is also coming to the Nintendo 3DS, and the other is a crossover between another RPG series, Shin Megami Tensei, which will come to the Wii U. Additionally, since the Wii U supports Virtual Console, the Game Boy Advance versions of the game are playable on the Wii U. The Fire Emblem series is described by its creators as an RPG simulation. The gameplay revolves around tactical movement of characters across grid-based levels, while incorporating a story and characters similar to those in a more traditional role-playing games. The most notable aspect of the Fire Emblem series gameplay is the permanent death, or permadeath, of characters in battle. This means that when a character dies, unlike most games where you get a number of lives, or they're just knocked out and come back after the battle, the characters remain dead for the rest of the entire story. This mechanic is a large reason as to why the series didn't make it to the United States until it was released on the Game Boy Advance in 2003. The name Fire Emblem refers to a recurring object in the series that plays a crucial role in the game's stories. However, though they are the same names, they have taken different forms across the different games. This is due to the fact that many games, despite sharing similar names, take place in different worlds or timelines. For example, in the GameCube and Wii games, which took place in the same universe, the Fire Emblem was a blue medallion with a compass-like design. In Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon, which was on the original Nintendo and remade on the Nintendo DS, as well as Fire Emblem Mystery of the Emblem, which was originally on the Super Nintendo and remade on the Nintendo DS, and finally in Fire Emblem Awakening, which was made on the 3DS, the Fire Emblem took the form of a shield with 5 different colored stones on the front. In Fire Emblem Fates, which is the new version coming out on the Nintendo 3DS, the Fire Emblem is a sword named Yato. Like most role-playing games, the Fire Emblem series has many elements that you would normally see in other games in the genre. A dynamic story, great characters, base stats that determine how strong the characters are, a level-up system that increases the character's stats over time, and battling. Other than the implementation of permadeath, the games are very similar to other RPGs. What sets this series apart from many other RPGs, however, is how dynamic the characters are in their personalities and how attached you get to a character, which makes the death of any character all the more touching, knowing that you'll never get to play as a character for the remainder of the story. Which makes the games even more dynamic is since most RPGs don't have permadeath, the creators of the game don't need to worry about cutting out cutscenes and dialogue because a character is no longer in the story. In Fire Emblem, you literally never see the character again. The only exception to this rule is that if the main character dies, you get a game over, and thus can restart the level and try to form a better strategy to finish the level. Before Fire Emblem Awakening on the Nintendo 3DS, the avatar, or the character that you name and customize yourself, was considered as a non-playable character, or NPC. This concept was made to make the game seem more of a first-person journey. The characters still talk to you, and you're still part of the story, but you couldn't move your avatar around the map and attack with him or her. to make the game less like a breaking the fourth wall experience. Your character is a tactician who commands each character on the battlefield. This was intended to make you feel more immersed within the story. In Fire Emblem Awakening, the avatar is still a tactician, but is an actual playable character. You are still considered that avatar, but you can use him or her to move and attack enemies. Like most RPGs, Fire Emblem includes many of the basic medieval weapons and weapon classes you would expect from an RPG, so I won't go into too much detail here. However, there are some key things to take note of. Also, from now on, I will be saying unit instead of character. There are three basic melee weapon types in the game. You have swords, lances, and axes. Swords are the most accurate of the three classes, but are the weakest of the three. Lances have a bit less accuracy than swords, but are also a bit stronger. Axes are the strongest of the three classes, but have the least accuracy. As you acquire stronger weapons in the game, the strength increases while the accuracy diminishes. The strength of these weapon types against each other can most easily be described as a glorified rock, paper, scissors, with the swords being better than axes, axes being better than lances, and lances beating swords. Although the system resembles rock, paper, scissors very closely, it is not always that simple. Stats and levels also greatly influence the weapon's power. As you would expect, archers use bows and arrows to attack. However, the mechanic with archers in Fire Emblem is that they can only attack enemies that are 2 spaces away, and cannot attack anyone from close range. This means that if you attack an enemy archer from close range, you are safe from being attacked back. This also means that you shouldn't leave one of your archers out in the open, because if attacked, they could be rendered helpless. One thing to keep in mind is that flying units, such as Pegasus Riders and Dragon Riders, are extremely weak to bows. Finally, there are bows, such as the longbow, that allow an archer to attack enemies that are 2 to 3 spaces away. Keep in mind that they are still helpless at close range. Magic is used by, as guessed, mages. The term for weapons used by mages is tome. Unlike the melee weapon users, mages can attack from 2 spaces away. Also, unlike archers, mages can also attack from close range as well. Magic works similar to melee weapons in that there are three basic tome types, represented by three elements. There are wind tomes, fire tomes, and thunder tomes. Wind tomes are the weakest of the three, but have the highest accuracy. Fire is stronger than wind, but has less accuracy. Thunder tomes are the strongest of the three, but have the lowest accuracy. What is different from melee weapons is that flying units are very weak against wind magic, much like bows. Also, thunder magic has a high chance of achieving a critical hit on enemies, which triples the damage done on an enemy. Fire magic has no special effect. In addition to wind, fire, and thunder magic is dark magic. Dark tomes can only be used by dark mages, which are a completely different class than standard mages. Dark mages usually have less magic resistance, but higher defense than typical mages. Dark mages can also use the elemental tomes. Dark magic is difficult to describe as there are many tomes with different special effects. Staves are used by clerics or healers. A staff's main purpose is to heal an ally's health points or HP. However, there are some staffs that have other effects as well. Some can heal the user, and some can even teleport units who are in danger to the unit who used the staff. They cannot, however, be used to attack. It is best to keep any unit using a staff safe from harm. Stones are used by shapeshifter classes. There are only two shapeshifter classes in the series. The first is the Togel, which is a man/beast shapeshifter. They use the Beast Stone to shapeshift. The other is the Manakete, which is a man/dragon shapeshifter, and they use the Dragon Stone. The difference between the two is that Togels are physical attackers and therefore can only attack close ranged. Manicheets are magic based and so they can attack from mage's distance and deal magical damage. Each weapon has a duration count which tells you how many times you can use a certain weapon. When the counter reaches 0, the weapon breaks, and if the unit in question does not have a backup weapon in reserve, it will be unable to attack until he or she is given another weapon. The battle system in the Fire Emblem series is much different than in many RPGs. In most RPGs, you issue the attacks that each unit does manually. However, in Fire Emblem, every move each unit does is done by chance. With the exception of moving the units around each map and selecting who to attack and which weapon to attack with, the units actually attack on their own, and then it's up to chance to determine what happens during the battle sequence. In each battle sequence, there are 4 numbers to keep an eye on: the health meter, the hit percentage, the damage potential, and the critical hit percentage. Health is determined by the unit's HP stat. Hit percentage is determined by the unit's avoid and hit stats, which change based on the unit's speed and skill stats, and the weapon's own hit percentage. Hit percentage is the most varied stat, as it is also affected by the terrain. For example, a unit standing on or in a forest will have a lower chance of being hit. Damage potential is determined by the weapon being used. Melee weapons and bows deal damage based on the unit's strength stat and the enemy's defense stat. Tomes deal damage based on the unit's magic stat and the enemy's resistance stat. The weapons themselves each have their own might stat, which is added to either the unit's strength or magic stat. Furthermore, units will deal 2 hits if their speed stat is at least double that of the enemy's speed stat. Critical hit chance is determined by the weapon's own critical hit chance, as well as the unit's skill stat, which increases the percentage, and the enemy's luck stat, which lowers the percentage. A successful critical hit will deal triple the amount of damage a normal attack would. The other notable stat is the move stat, which is essentially the amount of spaces the respective unit can move. The move stat is the only stat that doesn't increase by leveling up. It always stays the same unless increased by finding a special item. This stat can change based on the map terrain and the unit's class. For example, a flying unit can move anywhere without a problem. However, they must go around walls. Horse riding units cannot cross mountain ranges. Forests decrease the movement range of all grounded units, including horses and on-foot units. Flying units can cross waterways, but grounded units must go around. Finally, a flying unit can cross lava, but cannot be placed on top of the lava. A unit can hold up to 5 items at a time. This includes weapons as well. There are 3 main item types. There are weapons, healing items, and stat items. Weapons and healers are pretty self-explanatory. Stat items increase a unit's base stats by 2 points. There are stat items that affect each main stat. Additionally, there are temporary stat items, which increase a unit's base stats by a certain amount for 1 chapter or battle. These increases are generally higher than permanent stat items, but again only last 1 battle. Now I'm going to give you a basic rundown of each of the characters I've met in Fire Emblem for the Game Boy Advance, as of Part 6. I'm only giving information about these characters based on what I know up to this point. The first character, other than myself, is Lyn. Lyn is the Princess of Lycia, one of the kingdoms of this world, and leader of the group. Her parents were murdered by bandits when she was just a girl, and has since lived alone. She is also the wielder of a legendary sword, the Manikati. Sane is a knight of Ceylin, another kingdom in this world. He is a bit flirty with the ladies. Kent is also a knight of Ceylin. He is a more serious knight than his companion, and often lectures him for it. Florina is a Pegasus rider who knew Lynn as a friend. She is also really awkward around men. Will is an archer from a village that was under attack by bandits. Dorcas is an axe user who was nearly tricked into killing his own wife by a group of bandits because he was looking for money. I've also made fun of his name because it sounds like dork. Sarah is a cleric who is being escorted to another kingdom who got caught in a battle between Lynn's group and some bandits, and decided to accompany them along with Irk, a mage who is Sarah's escort, and is really annoyed by Sarah. He has also been made fun of because his name, when read, looks like a sound effect. Okay guys, that is all you need to know about the Fire Emblem series if you haven't played the game. So, as always, take care and carry on.